Welcome back. In this lecture, we will be building the class that is driving the list of threads, and that's the table view. And by the way, you should download the source code from appsfresh.com if you don't have it, or if you just want to take a look at it. So let's go back to Xcode. And now, if you take a look at Xcode, what we did earlier was creating the thread manager. So we do have a class, a static class that generates threads, so we can add and remove threads, and that saves it to the local machine, so to the local device, which will be the iPhone here. And now what we need to do is connect all of this to the storyboard, to the table view controller that we have here. So obviously, this is not real data, and that's just a prototype cell. So now we need to create the class that will drive this. As you can see, I just clicked on the table view scene, the table view controller, and if I go to the class, it does not have a class yet, and we need to create that. So let's go ahead and do this right now. Go to the groups and file, right click on AI Manager and add a new file. Let's add a Swift file, and let's name it thread list view controller. Why? Because it controls the thread list. So you can call it thread list view controller or thread list table view controller. It's up to you. I'm just going to call it view controller because right now it's a table view, but maybe in the future things can change. It can become a collection, right? It doesn't have to be a table view, right? It could be a collection view. Make sure it's added to the targets AI Manager and click on create. Here we go. The file is here. I'm going to import UIKit because we're going to use the table view controller. And let's create a class thread list view controller, and that inherits from the UI table view controller. UI table view controller, and we need a reference to the table view. This is a table view, right? So we're going to need a reference to this. Let's add this. So at IB outlet var table view and of type UI table view. Perfect. Now, to do, we're going to need some mock data or fake data for now, fake data, right? To populate, that would be to populate the list of threads for now. And then we'll have some real data for now. So I'm not going to create that just yet. Actually, let's go ahead and create at least the mock threads. So let mock threads is of type thread, so that's an array of thread, right? And for now, let's make it empty, so there's nothing to do. Fill this in with data, right? And now what we need to do is create the view controller and make sure that we are assigning the table view here. Oh, by the way, we cannot override it because it already exists, because it's a table view, so we already have that, so we don't need this, right? So you can actually remove it. By default, it's already there. I will just connect it. And let's create the view did load, so override func view did load. And here I'm going to do super.viewDidLoad, and then I'm going to make sure that the table view data source is assigned here. So table view dot that would be data source is equal to self, and then table view dot delegate is equal to self, because we're going to write the methods for the actions here. So let's do this. Let's populate. So let's populate the number of sections. And right now it will be one section. Override func, and that should automatically appear if I start typing because it's part of the UI table view delegates, right? So number, look, override number of section, there we go. And that would be in table view, perfect. And we return one. That's static. We only want one section. Now, the next thing we want to do is the number of rows within that section. So override func number, no, that would be a table view. So table view, and the one we want is the number of section. So which would be, it's one of those, There we go. Number of rows in section. There we go. Perfect. And here we will return mock threads dot count. Okay. And next thing you want to do is define the cell. So we want to configure each cell. That would be override func table view, and that would be cell for row. So there we go, cell for row at. Press enter. And here, well, we need to create a cell. So let cell is equal to table view dot dq. We're going to reuse the table cell. And we don't have one yet, but let's say we call this one thread cell. It does not exist just yet, but we'll have to create it, right? For, and that would be index path. Index path. And here we need to convert. So as, and that would be a thread cell. So thread cell. And as you can see, it does not exist yet, so we have to create it. And you can create it later, but I like to just have it just for the sake of having it. So right click on the AI manager and create a new file, Swift file, click next, and call this one thread cell. That's the one that's going to be driving each cell from the prototype. Create. Here we go. Import UIKit. And let's create the class for the thread cell. And so if you were to think, what would be a thread cell? What would be the type? Well, it's a cell of a UI table, right? So it would be a UI table view cell. There we go. Since we're already here, let's add the IB outlets. So there will be one IB outlet for the color of the ribbon. So var ribbon view, that's a UI view. I think that's a label, right? So yes, we added a label for this, so UI label. And then IB outlet var, that would be the name label, so the name of the thread, which would be the person name, and that's a UI label as well. All right, and let's add the method to configure this. So func configure with the thread, and we'll use a thread to configure this. And inside of that, well, first thing we want to do is change the ribbon color. So ribbon view dot background color is equal to the thread that's passed dot and ribbon color. There we go. And then the name label, so name label dot text is equal to the thread dot person name. All right, there we go. So now we have the thread cell. And if we go back to the thread list view controller, the error is going to go away because we already have it. Well, it's missing a return. So let's finish this, and then we can move to the next part. So now that we have the thread cell, well, let's get the mock, right? So let thread is equal to mock threads at index path dot row. So we're getting at the index, right? So we're getting one thread, and now let's configure this. So cell dot configure with the thread, and that would take care of putting all the information, so the name and the color, and then we just return the cell. All right, and in the next part, I'm gonna add one more method, the did deselect, and I will also do all the connections and add some mock data.